Hey everybody, Austin here from sunny southern Arizona, although it's not real sunny right now because it's nighttime. So anyway, just wanted to give you a quick update for the end of August, early September, and let you know how you are making a difference through your gifts and through your prayers. So the Ministry of Worship Catalyst, and always just wanted to say thank you so much for everything that you guys do. This update's going to be a little bit different. August has been a great month. We've kind of gotten our feet back on the ground here in Arizona after being in California and in Texas for most of July. But we wanted to focus on one church and one family for the rest of this time. Earlier today, I sat down with a friend of ours named Kent Stewart, and Kent is the pastor of a brand new church that we've been investing in through music and technology and a lot of energy into that church. And what I wanted to do is just to introduce you to Kent, and I want to challenge you on this video, if you'd watch it all the way to the end, and then stop what you're doing and pray for Kent and his wife Kelly, their 3 kids, Mackenzie, Kaylee, and Emma, and also for 180 Church, the church that he's just planted. So anyway, as always, we love you, and check out this video with Kent. Talk to you soon. Hey everybody, we're sitting here with my good friend Kent Stewart, and Kent is the first person that I met before we came to Tucson, Arizona. Really, almost every relationship that we have in Arizona all started because of Kent. Kent, why don't you just tell a little bit about when we first started meeting or talking or whatever? How'd that come about?
It's pretty crazy. It was about 4 years ago. I get this random call from some dude in Texas and said, "Hey, I came across your website and wanted to just call and see what you're up to and what's going on with church planting out in Tucson and pray for you." And I was like, who in the world just searches the web and finds some guy? And I thought, well, okay, we talked for, I don't know, probably half an hour, a good long time. And I thought I'd never hear from you. Then sure enough, again, about, I don't know, a week later, you called and said, "Hey, I've been praying for you. What's going on?" We started this conversation, and it's really cool to see someone had a heart for what God was doing out here. And I remember thinking eventually, like, dude, maybe this guy's going to come out here. And I think one day I just said something like, "Quit your job in Texas and move out to Tucson and let's start churches together."
Right.
And sure enough, I don't know, maybe 6 months later, you came out to visit and started looking at different areas and different churches. And God had a whole new plan than starting a church, but working with a support structure, and Worship Catalyst was born, and it's pretty neat.
At the time, Kent was planting a church called the Journey Church of Tucson up on the north side of town. Shortly thereafter, he started working as the pastor of 22nd Street Baptist Church in Tucson. And it was then that I really started to understand the passion that Kent has for people who are far from God and for missions and for church planting. So Kent, how has that developed in you, and what is that feeling that you have in you that causes you forward on this mission?
As I grew older and started to get into ministry and working at churches, I started to get kind of frustrated with the game that happens at churches and all the inward focus that happens, and how people are only worried about that church and what's going on. They're more worried about the color of carpet than they are what's going on outside the doors and getting people to come in. And it was about 8 to 9 years ago. I just got totally fed up and said, I got to do something different. It's got to be about the mission and getting out there and reaching people. And that's when God started me into church planting and creating my heart for it. And I've always had a heart for foreign missions and stuff like that, and just really developed it and got to this place where everything I want to do involved with church is related to reaching people outside the church instead of taking care of people inside the church, reaching out.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, that's a bold move, you know, because a lot of people aspire to comfort and a big church and all that kind of stuff, but you kind of almost aspire to reach down into the community and reach those that are really the abandoned, the forgotten ones. So that's really awesome. So back in about maybe December 09, January 010, Kent started playing with this idea of planting a brand new church in Tucson, and what came out of that is 180 Church, that we've had a great time as Worship Catalyst. You guys have all connected in this, whether you knew it or not. Talk a little bit about what 180 Church is all about, and what's the distinctive thing that is about that church.
Yeah, when our time at 22nd Street was done and we felt God leading in another direction, we weren't sure what to look for and what God was doing, and spent a lot of time with you guys and other friends and colleagues kind of praying through what God was doing. And through praying with some friends and a friend of mine, Tim Griffin, who's a chaplain for NASCAR, we came up with the idea of doing Thursday night church. People on the weekends are doing everything else other than going to church.
Especially in Tucson.
In Tucson, the numbers are 95, 94% of people aren't in church on a Sunday morning. So we said, if they're not in church, instead of just waiting for them to come, let's find a way to meet them. Let's start the Thursday night deal. It's not competing with everything on the weekend. And so that's how 180 was born. And our other concept too is to never get a place where people have to go a lot. It's the Thursday night's the main deal, starting a lot of grassroots, organic type discipleship and Bible study type things, but not creating this program where people end up making their whole life about going to a church and different church programs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, 180 is off the ground. We've been at it for maybe 3 months or something like that. I think at the most 3 months here.
Beginning of May, so.
Yeah, and so, and you need to understand something about the area where Kent and his team have decided to plant is not in the most upper end area of town by any means, and it's really in a place where there are a lot of desperate people. Financially desperate, relationally desperate, spiritually completely desperate, and so you guys have really jumped out there into a hard place and a hard ministry. Now, let's just ask a couple more questions. What are some of the greatest parts about being a church planter and overall or about 180 Church?
It's really cool when you see something come that was nothing, like when your baby's born and you have that whole process, the 9 months of dealing with it, and the day it's there, it kind of hits you like something shit, there's life. And it's great when you see people that don't go to church normally, that they see something different and want to come. And stories are always good. We have this one girl, Katrina, that comes. She's a young girl, I think 21 years old. She has a kid. She's not married, and has had a hard life, I think. And she came to the church and has been coming every week, man. She is just eating up, and God is doing great things in her life. And she's this type of person. She's invited her friends. Every week she has at least 5, 6, 10 friends with her, and has probably brought 25, 30 different people over the last few months.
That's amazing, man.
So when you see a life like that, that God's doing something in, and her bringing her friends, and her friends are hearing about God, and some of them maybe their first time ever being in a church. It's pretty cool.
That is really, really awesome. Now, those are great times, but there are always tough parts about being a planter, and we've worked with a bunch of you guys now. So why don't you just kind of combine a couple of things here with what are some of the hard parts, and then what are some ways that we can pray for you? And we've got a lot of people that watch these videos every month, and they would love to just pray for you right now.
The toughest thing a church planter is emotional swings. Someone described it once as the highest highs and the lowest lows. When you're on a high and you have a great week and people come and you see God doing something, there's nothing better than that. But then the next week when the attendance is down and it drops and you work all week to plan this great message and then everybody just doesn't show up and it seems like doesn't care and your offering's $10, it's a tough week. So
I thought that was a good week, $10.
Sometimes. So it's this up and down, this emotional deal. As you're planting, it's total faith in God. Because the bills come every week, but the offerings sometimes they're $50 or $25. So, and you know that you're paying a couple $100 for the place you're meeting, and so there's a lot of total reliance on God. You can't look at a spreadsheet and expect things to work out. You just have to sit back. So praying for that stability in emotions is a huge thing, that God keeps your focus on your call and not getting distracted by the struggles of that week or that month. Maybe that's a little bit low. That's an important thing. And of course finances, man. Finances is always a big part, and people investing and people making it a priority to put into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I want to challenge you guys to do something. This is a different update, like we said. I want to challenge you from wherever, if you're in your office right now, or if you're at home, or if you are watching this on your iPhone or whatever, I want you to just take a minute, hit stop, and if you would, just wherever you are, close your eyes and say a word of prayer for Kent Stewart and for 180 Church and for his team, and pray specifically, like you said, for their emotional well-being, for their finances, and ultimately that they would reach more and more people with the gospel in Tucson, Arizona. So thanks for watching. God bless you, and thanks for everything that you do.
Thanks, guys.